Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a philosophy that tackles a really big question, one that I think we've all struggled with at some point. Why do our best laid plans so often fall apart and lead to a whole lot of stress?
I mean, it's a question we've all asked ourselves, right? You put in the work, you make the plans, you do everything you think you're supposed to do, and somehow it still goes sideways, leaving you with anxiety and trouble. Well, the philosophy we're diving into today suggests there's a single fascinating reason for all of it. Okay, so let's get into it. The big idea here is that our problems, our struggles, they're not just random bad luck. It's not fate dealing us a bad hand. No, according to this way of thinking, it all comes back to one single core issue. And here it is. That root cause, it's that our suffering comes from one thing, violating what's called the way of nature. So it's not about being unlucky. It's about being out of sync, fundamentally misaligned with how the universe actually operates. And the source material really lays it out in black and white. When you obey and follow this way of nature, things just flow. Society becomes harmonious. But when you push against it, when you try to disrupt it, that's when you get the suffering, the hardship, the very problems we're trying to avoid.
So that's the big question, isn't it? What in the world is this way of nature they're talking about? Well, to explain it, the source gives us this fantastic, really simple analogy. Think about a corn seed. You plant it, and it has a natural cycle, right? It takes about 100 days to grow and be ready for harvest. You can't force it to be ready in a week. You just can't. That predictable, unrushable, patient process, that is the way of nature in action. So to put it another way, the way of nature is basically the underlying operating system of the universe. It's the laws and principles that govern how everything changes and evolves, without us humans messing with it. It's why water freezes, why a melon ripens and falls off the vine on its own time. It's just how things work.
And this is where we humans are totally different. See, a plant or an animal, they just follow this way automatically, by instinct. But us, with our big brains and our ability to plan and think subjectively, we have the unique and maybe dangerous ability to go off script. We can deviate from that natural course. And that deviation, right there, is pointed to as the source of all our very human problems.
Okay, so this all sounds a little abstract, maybe? Let's bring it down to earth. How does this way of nature stuff actually show up in our day-to-day lives? Let's look at some real-world examples. Let's talk about wealth. You've got two paths. The first is trying to get rich quick, right? Gambling, risky speculation, maybe even corruption. This is like trying to force that corn seed to grow in a week. It goes against the natural way of things. And what's the result? Not peace, but a ton of anxiety, fear, and broken relationships. The other way? It's accumulating wealth slowly, bit by bit. It's a natural process, and it avoids all those hidden traps.
This idea scales up too. Take poverty versus prosperity. According to this view, poverty isn't just about not having money. It's a state of being closed off, of refusing new ideas, new people, new ways of doing things. But prosperity? That comes from being open. It's like biodiversity in a rainforest. The more diversity of people and ideas you embrace, the stronger and more prosperous you become, because you're in harmony with nature's love for variety.
You can even apply this to something as big as the economy. The source material compares a planned economy to, say, building a huge dam on a river. It's a massive human intervention that disrupts the natural flow and often leads to worse outcomes. On the other hand, a market economy is seen as being more aligned with the way of nature. Why? Because, like an ecosystem, it's left to self-regulate and find its own orderly path without a lot of heavy-handed interference.
Okay, so it's not just about what we do, but when we do it. There's another huge piece to this puzzle. The philosophy stresses the importance of aligning with what it calls cosmic timing. You've probably heard the saying, times create heroes. Well, here, that's taken very literally. The idea is that success isn't just a result of your personal talent or how hard you work. It's a perfect storm of the right talent meeting the right circumstances at the absolute perfect moment. So if you follow this cosmic timing, things just tend to go smoothly. You find prosperity. But if you try to swim against that current, you just get stagnation. It's about having the wisdom to see the seasons, Whether you're a farmer planting seeds or an entrepreneur spotting a new trend in society, the key is to move with the flow of the times, not against it. There's an old saying that just nails it. Man plans, and the heavens decide. Think of it like a card game.
You can be the best poker player in the world, know all the strategies, but you can't control the cards you're dealt. That's up to something bigger. You play the hand you're given as best you can, but the final outcome is always shaped by that larger order of things. All right, so if our own thinking is what gets us into trouble by pulling us away from this natural way, then how on earth do we solve our problems? How do we fix things when they seem completely broken? The answer, according to the source, is found in one last really powerful metaphor. Just imagine this. There's a group of people, and for their entire lives, all they've ever known is the inside of a dim, dark cave. That cave, that's their whole reality. It's their entire frame of reference. So, here's the question. How do they solve their problems? The darkness, the cold, the dampness, can they fix all that just by sitting inside the cave and thinking harder about it? And the answer is a resounding no, right? You can't solve the problems of the cave from inside the cave. The best way isn't to just sit there and contemplate. The best way is to step out of it. The solution exists in a different dimension than the problem itself. And that, right there, is the big takeaway for us. To resolve our deepest crises, our most challenging conflicts, we have to explore beyond the boundaries of our own thinking. When we're really and truly stuck, the answer isn't to just think harder in the same old way. The answer is to find the courage to step outside our own little bubble, our own cave, and see things from a whole new perspective. And so, this whole philosophy leaves us with a really personal and pretty profound question to chew on. What cave are you thinking inside of right now? When you're facing a tough problem, what are the hidden assumptions, the invisible walls of your own thinking that might be stopping you from seeing the solution that's waiting right outside in the sunlight?